701. Still don't work for that Peel Motor Company.
We'll call the meeting to order.
Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lesh,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
First on the agenda this evening, we have the approval of the minutes from the March 26, 2012 work session. And I move we approve those minutes.
Second.
Botts,
Abstain as I was absent.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lesh,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
And then we have our minutes from the March 26, 2012 regular session. And I move we approve those minutes.
Second.
Botts,
Abstain as I was absent.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lesh,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Next, on the agenda, we have presentations this evening from Terry Mackey, who's president of the Arthur Center, and he's going to talk about federally qualified health center planning grant. Terry?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to sort of, I guess, bring you into what's going on the QHC planning grant that Arthur Center received. I thought I would give you a little history of how this came to be. First of all, Kit Bond has been an advocate of community health centers across the country for decades, and he actually talked to Steve Hobbs and said, you know, I would like to have a federally qualified health center in my own hometown before I retire. Well, that didn't obviously happen. But Steve talked to Audrain Medical Center, and they thought this would be something that would be good for the community, but they weren't particularly interested in being a federally qualified health center. So they got together a group of people that included Arthur Center and Public Health and said, hey, you know, what do you all think? And so Arthur Center actually took the lead and applied for a planning grant to do, I guess you'd say, the background planning for this kind of an initiative. We were awarded the grant in August 2011 and began putting together a steering committee. Our steering committee consists of Steve Hobbs, myself, Darren Stice from Audrain Medical Center, Kevin Lawrence from Public Health. We've recently added Tim Cruz with Audrain Developmental Disability Services, and also Cheryl Mack, Superintendent of Community R6 Schools. So that's the steering committee that has been meeting and starting this planning process. Some of our goals is we would like to conduct 28 focus groups. And our target population is really people 200% of the federal poverty level and less. We're trying to get groups that represent that particular, I guess you'd say, demographic, and also other folks that may be uninsured. Because if we were so lucky as to get a grant, it would be about $650,000 annually. To serve the uninsured or underinsured residents of Audrain County. Also, we would like to do and have started the process of doing a community needs assessment. And I have it's sort of a 2-page document. It can also be completed on SurveyMonkey. But our goal there is to try to get 2,500 people to respond to that survey out of the 25,000 that we have in Audrain County total. We are trying to hit local governments. You're the first, but then tomorrow night I'm doing Vandalia. We'll be doing Ladonia, some of these smaller towns as well. We'll probably be doing some focus groups with various constituency groups, include public housing, for one. Also, doctors, dentists, who would also have an interest in what's going on. And then we're just looking at, like uninsured. We're looking at talking with some farmers as well, and various other groups. We have 28 groups that we've identified in total. So with that, I just wanted to offer a little opportunity for you to ask some questions, and I'd be glad to answer any questions if I can.
I suppose you're, I think I've already done one of these surveys, but you're asking people to go to this site and do a survey.
Or you can,
Anyone can do that?
any Audrain County resident. And we also have paper copies. I'm going to leave them on the back table out there so folks can take them with them if they would like and fill them out. If we're certainly glad to come and talk to groups. We're going to be talking with like AARP and some other groups similar to that who are in the community. So we're glad to do that.
And you've got a pretty good supporting group behind you there to support this project? Or?
We do. I think that what we're being told is the next opportunity to apply is going to be in 2013. So our anticipated date of applying for the grant is sometime in 2013. So it's not something that's going to be happening like tomorrow. This planning grant will end in August of 2012. So we're hoping to have all of our work wrapped up by then, including trying to figure out what gaps in services exist and the kinds of things that would be beneficial for Audrain County residents. Obviously, we're not looking to duplicate services that already exist. We'd like to fill in the gaps as much as possible.
What kind of services are you looking at right now in there?
There's 3 required services: primary care, dental, and behavioral health. So those 3 are required in any. However, the scale of them, could be adjusted based on the needs of the community. So if we need more primary care, we can do that. If we need more dental, we can do that. Behavioral health, we can do that. So what's I guess you'd say, what's so good about this? Well, the services are cost-based reimbursed, meaning like 97% of the cost are reimbursed, to the centers. So you get paid up front, and then there's a cost accounting at the end of the year, and you're either get paid more or they take back some money, whichever it is. So that's kind of the way it works. It's cost-based reimbursement.
That was my next question.
Okay.
How do you? Because I was going to wonder if you just get the $650. Do you get reimbursed from Medicaid, or
There are
actual services, or
there are higher rates paid for Medicaid and Medicare. For example, let's say I'll just speak of behavioral health. We might get $50 from Medicaid for a doctor's visit, let's say, and we might get $90 up front, and then at the end of the year, if our cost, there's certain costs that are allowed under the grant, and whatever our costs are, if we can justify that, keeping that rate, great. If not, then we pay back to the state Medicaid program, whatever the audit shows.
Is that a typo where it says that your behavioral health patients are sent 90 minutes away to St. Louis for dental service?
No, it's not. Adults, the state of Missouri does not pay for dental care for adults in terms of their Medicaid program. So there's really not any body that really can afford to do that for free. So it just happens that there is a federally qualified health center in St. Louis that welcomes our patients, so we take them there and they do it. So we've tried to do like Family Health Center in Columbia, but the waiting lists are so long there that we haven't been able to get our people in. So this was a place that said, yeah, bring them. So we just started calling. And so yes, we do take people all the way to St. Louis for dental care. You know, I can say that the Help Center sends people, I think, to Sedalia at times for dental care. So, you know, it's tough, you know, especially if you're disabled and are an adult. There's really not a whole lot there for you.
Guess I would ask another question that leads to another one. How many of these centers are there in Missouri?
You got me on that one. There's I'd say in the neighborhood of 25 would be a guess. The closest ones are Family Health Center in Columbia. There's also one in Jefferson City. There's one in Winsville, and then north in Kirksville. I believe maybe another one in the northeast. But that's pretty much there's no one in a 6-county area that Arthur Center serves, which is Callaway, Audrain, Pike, Rawls, Monroe, Montgomery.
And would your center maybe eventually serve other counties around us, or is that a possibility?
We have hired a consultant, Ray and Associates, who has a lot of expertise. What they've encouraged us to do is to start small and start in Audrain. They said that, you know, our poverty statistics are higher than the state and the federal government, so that actually gives us a leg up, first of all. So, you know, some of the counties that surround us don't have those poverty statistics, so they encouraged us to stick with Audrain to start with, and then, you know, start to branch out. They sometimes have expansion grants where you can set up another center, you know, somewhere else in another county. But there's nothing stopping people from coming, however.
I guess that's what I was kind of
You
meaning.
pretty much have to serve whoever shows up to your door that you have capacity to serve. So you really can't turn people away.
The purpose of your focus groups is need assessment, or?
Yes, yeah, it's really just sort of define, you know, what are the gaps in services that people really can't seem to access care, just their perspectives about what's needed, or, you know, in the case of, you know, dentists, doctors, you know, what kinds, what they feel, how we can work together, you know, where we say, hey, we can't work together, but sort of just see what we can do to create those kind of partnerships.
And all the funding comes from the federal government, is that correct? There's no local funding on this?
Well, there's no, the grant is all federal money, so no, there isn't any local match. But it's not to say that that federal grant pays for everything. It does not. $650,000, you know, sounds like a lot of money, but when you start delivering health care services, it's not a lot of money. But those enhanced Medicare and Medicaid rates are also designed to make it possible to sustain, you know, those services and to grow those services over the course of time. Probably not something we can just go boom and meet all the healthcare needs of Audrain County. No, that's probably not going to happen. But over the course of time, you know, just, you know, one of the things that they're concerned about is that we don't bite off more than we can chew and then, you know, have financial problems.
Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation.
And I wanted to say also that Kevin Lawrence is not here because we kind of set this up late last week, and I told him that he could be here, but he he's out of town actually. So anyway, his name was on the agenda because I wasn't sure whether he could be here or not. So just wanted to say that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Did you have something that you wanted to present right now, Lou? Pardon?
I was going to ask the council to amend the agenda with regard to the closed session and add potential litigation. We had a matter come up today that we need to discuss with the council this evening.
Okay. So we need a motion
To amend it, yes.
Yes.
Yes, so I move we amend the executive session to include potential litigation.
Second.
Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Flash,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Next, we have a presentation, I believe Bruce.
It is my pleasure to present each council member with their annual pay for the year. And this is that the City of Mexico acknowledges with appreciation the faithful and dedicated service of each council member, and we have it framed, and you get your whole $1 for their service for the council.
Thank you.
Thanks.
First dollar.
Spend it wisely. Next, we have the certification of the general election results.
Okay, I'm going to turn to Marcy as the results are listed. As I think as noted, Your Honor, from the clerk of Audrain County, the results of the election, city election, Dan Botts received a total of 157, and Ron Lesh a total of 167, and congratulations on re-election from the votes cast from the April 3rd, 2012 general municipal election.
We need a motion to accept those results, right?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion we accept the results of the election.
Second.
Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Flash,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Botts and Mr. Lash. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, you state your name,
Ron Lesh,
State your
do
name.
solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully demean myself
and I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of City Council
in the office of City Council
for the City of Mexico, Missouri,
for the City of Mexico, Missouri,
for which I was elected on the 3rd day of April, 2012.
for which I was elected on the 3rd day of April 2012.
I need for you to sign your oath of office, please. This is your certificate.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
We're ready for you, Lou.
The next order of business is the election of the office of mayor, the office of mayor pro tem. And the first thing we need to do is adopt the rules.
I think Chris wanted to.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The type of government that we have in our city, does not allow for the election of a mayor in our city. And so what we've been doing is appointing people from the amongst us. And, you know, people can debate the pros and cons of that. My concern was, if we just keep appointing the same person over and over again, that kind of demeans the point of the position, because then it turns into almost an elected position without a real election by the people. And so I'd like to put forward a motion that we limit the person on the council to be mayor for no more than 2 consecutive years.
Needs a second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, so that would be starting with whoever's elected mayor tonight. That would be the first year. And then if they were elected again for a second year, that would be the 2 years, and then could not serve the third year, to have to sit out. Okay. Everybody understand? Okay. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on that motion, please?
Would be Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lesh,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I thank you all for supporting that. I appreciate it.
In the past, we have adopted rules for the election. We've done the mayor's office first, then the mayor pro tem. It requires a nomination and a second. As you know, we can, if someone doesn't get a majority, the state law permits us to put all names in a hat and have the city clerk draw out a name. We've come close to that once. So my suggestion would be for the rules that there be a nomination and a second for any candidate for either office. We'll do the mayor's office first. Then if we go through 3 roll call votes and a candidate has not received a majority of 3, then we would go to selection by lot. So I would need a motion to adopt those rules governing the election of mayor and mayor pro tem.
So move.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lesh,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go to the office of mayor, and the floor is open for nominations for the office of mayor. Takes a nomination and a second.
I'd like to nominate Ron Lesh.
Second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? All right, is there a motion that the nominations cease?
Make a motion nomination cease before I lose my voice.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lesh,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Then would you call the roll, please, on the nomination of Mr. Lesh to serve as mayor?
Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lesh,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Then we would go to the office of mayor pro tem. We're open for, and again, that's a 1-year term, and we're open for nominations for that office. Takes a nomination and a second.
I would like to nominate Steve Nichols.
Second.
Any other nominations?
Move nominations cease.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lesh,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Would you call the roll on the nomination for Steve Nichols to serve 1-year term as mayor pro tem?
Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
For $100, yes.
Lesh,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Your Honor, I turn the meeting back over to you.
Thank you. Okay, now, on to the new business that we have this evening, a new business ordinance, and this is up for first reading by title only. It's Bill number 2012-22, an ordinance calling for an election in the city of Mexico, Missouri on the question of imposing a local park sales tax, designating the time of the holding of said election, and authorizing and directing the city clerk to give notice of said election. First reading by title only. Bruce?
Yes, Your Honor. The City of Mexico's general fund has been under strain to meet the city's many needs for years. It has become significantly more difficult to make needed transfers to the Parks Fund to maintain and operate the system without undue stress on funding of other general fund department obligations. This attached ordinance calls for an election for a dedicated local park sales tax as enabled by the Missouri state statutes. 100% of the local park sales tax, if approved, would be used to pay for park operations, building structures, other general park purposes, maintenance, and improvements. Therefore, everything would go dedicated to the parks and its operation. If you chose to do a 1/4 cent, you would reduce the amount of dollars transferred from the general fund to the Parks Fund annually, freeing up funds for other uses. 3/8 of a cent would increase the fund and allow the Park Fund to come closer to meeting the depreciation annually. If you did 1/2 of a cent, it would increase the fund balance, allow the Park Fund to meet depreciation annually, and improve program offerings, and make construction of occasional improvements possible as cash would accrue. Simply put, 1/4 cent would help. It wouldn't meet all the needs. 3/8 of a cent, in essence, would replace the funding and allow, in essence, you to do repairs of some things if meeting depreciation. And 1/2 cent, in essence, would free up the funds, help do repairs, and could potentially offer up some things as far as new things, but it would take some time, obviously, to build those funds up to pay for them. If you were to place a local park sales tax, would be set for August 7, 2012 ballot. It would be necessary to notify, if we're going to do that, we need to notify them prior to May 29th. Voter approval would allow the tax then to begin January 1 of 2013, with the first revenue distribution beginning then in the next quarter, or therefore March of 2013. A 19-member Citizens Committee for Improved Parks and Stormwater Funding was appointed by the council to study the parks and stormwater funding for this, as well as the Mexico Park Board is recommending a 1/2 cent sales tax as far as the local parks sales tax. Staff is recommending that council proceed with the first reading by title of the attached ordinance, and that council determine the local park sales tax rate to be placed on the ballot. Therefore, we thank you for your consideration, and we will let you take it from there, council. And we'll try to answer any questions you may have as we've researched and went over this issue a number of times. Thank you.
This, I'm going to ask a couple questions, if you don't mind. The 1/4, how many dollars was that again? I didn't bring my number with me. 1/4%.
Roger, do you have that at your fingertips, or I can get it here?
The 1/4 cent would bring in approximately 280,000.
280. And then, and the 3/8.
570,000. Again, that would be approximately.
Okay. And what was the half?
1/2, approximately 760,000.
760. Questions?
How much are we, I don't have my numbers for me either. How much is the general fund transferring in as of today? I mean, this year?
For this budget year, the general fund is anticipating a transfer of $370,000. And then the capital improvement sales tax fund is contributing $95,000.
So the 3/8 would cover all that, leave extra money, and you would then have the 465,000 for the general fund to be used in different areas, including you could use capital improvement sales tax money to do additional items in the parks.
Yes, you
You
can.
could use that money. So just because it's not going to be in the fund, we could still use it to build new things or what have you.
That is correct.
And what is the Mexico portion of our 8.2% sales tax?
Currently, we have a 1% sales tax and a 0.5% capital improvement sales tax. So
So-
1.5 of that 8.1.
1.5% goes to the city of Mexico.
Well, I hate paying taxes as much as anybody does. But if we put a quarter on there, we're not actually gonna have that much of a income on it. 3/8 just be treading water maybe. The difference between a quarter and a half is 1/4 cent, but I'd recommend putting half.
I would say that my opinion is nobody likes taxes, of course, but the parks are in need, and this puts it to the voters. I mean, we're not sitting here making a decision for the voters. They can make it for themselves by doing this, putting it on the ballot. The 1/4 is obviously not going to be enough. The 1/2, I think you might have people more formed against that than you would if we meet in the middle at 3/8. You replenish everything we're putting in, plus a little more, plus you have the 465 extra in the general fund you can use for additional things in the parks. So I kind of lay in the 3/8 cent range myself.
Your Honor, when I ran for election, I said government needs to live within its means. And it's become increasingly clear that the means that government has is lacking as far as the parks. We can't abandon the parks. No one wants to do that. No one wants to take their children and their families to substandard parks where they may be hurt or injured. In the same manner that no one likes to pay taxes, I think that the parks are important. My inclination as far as the amount would be 3/8. I believe that will give us a substantial basis to improve the parks, get the work done that needs to be done, and not overtax. I certainly don't want to do that. So if we all have our reservations about taxes, but if we're going to do that, I think we should do it to get enough money to make adequate provision for the parks. And I still say 3/8.
I would concur, no less than 3/8. And I don't really, I'd like to see us grow the parks. I'd like to see us do a lot of new things. But at this point, I don't know, perhaps we are better, perhaps it would be better to strike the middle ground at 3/8 in hopes that everyone would see that that is reasonable.
Can I ask a question? Can we do this and then make a change later? Like, can we put it back up again? I mean, if the economy gets better, if the city gets better, we could maybe come back and ask for that, or if the city shows us using the money appropriately, kind of.
We have to do two things. One is at some point this evening, you're going to have to direct the staff as to what you would like, how you would like the ordinance to read. Because before you, we have an ordinance with a blank, and we've posted an ordinance with a blank, and we have an ordinance text with a blank. So you're going to have to, by motion, tell us what you would like that to be, and then we can have the appropriate ordinance for you. I realize it's just filling in a blank. The answer to your other question, Chris, is yes, up to what is authorized by the statute is the tax that the council can submit to a vote of the people. So, what is it, Chad?
Requiring an additional election.
Yeah, you'd have to have another election. But if you were at 3/8 and you decided you wanted to take it to, 2 years later, you want to go to a half cent, you'd have to come back and have another election. It's not something that you could just do by ordinance.
No.
Okay. That's your question.
Yes.
Might I get a refresher on what the Citizens Committee recommended?
They recommended 1/2 cent.
Okay, I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. First of all, I'm very happy that this is a dedicated tax that we're putting forward so that it's going to be used for one thing and one thing only. And many communities have park sales taxes. We're probably one of the last communities around us that have a dedicated park sales tax. Now, we do have a small amount of money we get from property taxes, which is, I think, about $200,000 a year, and we get about $100,000 from fees. The difference is being made up by our general fund. So the dedicated money will actually end up in the parks. It won't be used for anything else in the city. Second, I too do not like tax increases. I think that we as a community need to grow our community, and unfortunately our sales tax base and some of our property tax base is not growing fast enough, and we're looking at a situation with our parks that's probably been ignored for 40 years maybe. It's been ignored since I've been in Mexico, which is 17 years. And all you need to do is go around and look at some of the facilities and see that they need work. I do have concern about a higher sales tax in the community, and I realize our percentage of the sales tax is pretty small with 8.2%. We only get 1.5% of that. The state gets 4 point whatever it is, 2.5, and so there's other entities in the area that do make up the difference on the sales tax. And you've got to wonder what impact that has on your businesses in the community, although many people say, well, you buy an item and the sales tax is just an add-on. But when you become one of the highest in the area, we've got to have a concern about that. That's one of the reasons that I'm not supporting the half-cent sales tax. I think we need to go easy and with that side of it, go 3/8. I do know the importance of our parks to our young people, young families in our community, and they've gone to other communities and they see the facilities that they have, and they think that maybe we're not providing the same support for young families that other communities are in our neighboring communities. And so I see the need there for that. We have great parks, and as a senior citizen, and I will turn 65 in a month or two, I do appreciate the great parks and the opportunities to go walking in them, and so I look at it from that standpoint too, and I'm sure many seniors do. But on the other side, you have a lot of folks on fixed income, and that's going to add to their burden. So I think, in my opinion, 3/8 is the best that we can do at this time. That would be my opinion.
Your Honor, I'd just like to point out something else that has been pointed out to me, and that's it. Whatever we do, 1/4, 3/8, or 1/2 inch, if a need arises, and I suspect that it probably will before long for a new swimming pool, none of these three will fund that. This is just for existing parks and doing what we can do. So if we would be looking down the road at a swimming facility to compete with other communities, we would probably be talking some type of bond issue. That would be, this will not cover that.
Correct.
There have been increases in everything, it seems like. We've had to increase the sewer rates for the wastewater treatment. Our utilities increase. And again, I'd like to see government live within its means. I know we can't at this point. We do need more means. But I feel that the 3/8 is the way to go.
I'd like to add that my feeling on the 3/8 is we're not asking for anything extra. All we're asking for is to make up the difference that we're having to fund the parks anyway. The money that we're giving to the parks from the general fund was not budgeted for the parks. It's not intended exactly for the parks. Some of it, of course, I think should go to the parks, but that amount, I mean, we're putting more in than the parks fund generates. And so I feel like, that's I don't like taxes, but we're not asking for extra money. We're not asking to go do 20 different projects that people are going to be like, well, what about my project, or what about my project? We're just asking for what we need to make up the difference. And to be honest, with the community, if we don't get this, the park system is going to change, and not in a positive way. I mean, because we cannot continue to fund the park system at the rate we're funding it out of the general fund. It can't happen. So that's the choice that, it's up to the community. If, some people may feel they don't care. Well, that's fine, but I happen to like the park system. So, and I like, taking my little boy to the parks. So I hope people will support it. And I feel the 3/8 is the appropriate measure. And I'd like to put a motion forward to approve, to put the 3/8 sales tax on the ballot for August 7th.
I have one more comment to make.
Go ahead, sorry.
We're sitting here, I'm gonna lose here in a minute, with 4 council members for 3/8 and 1 for half. None of us wants to raise the taxes at all. But if I'm gonna pay more taxes, I think I would rather see more stuff done quicker than pay more tax and slowly get stuff done. At 1/8 of a cent, between 3/8 and a half is 1/8 of a cent. That's for every $8 you spend is a penny more. So it's not that much, and you would see more quick term changing. Chad does a lot of good for what money he has to do. He's cut a lot of corners. Yeah, I mean, as far as trying to get stuff done on no money, but I just think it would be more of an asset to town if you're going to raise taxes to go ahead and raise it 1/2 cent. That's what I have. Thank you for that. That wasn't paid for either.
It's in your pocket.
That's how, yeah, what you got in your pocket?
Well, Steve, I'd like to respond to that and say that when I said at least 3/8, I feel like you do. I feel like we're gonna go for it. Let's do it. Let's do it right. Feel like I'm kind of waffling here, which maybe I am, but I feel like we had a citizens committee that worked hard, and I feel like we can count on them to help us to get the word out and make this happen.
I've had my say.
Well, I'm I'm gonna put a motion on the floor.
You've got a motion on the floor.
Okay.
For it to be 3/8.
Okay.
There's not been a second. So we need a second or the motion dies.
Second.
Fox,
No.
Nichols,
No.
Lesh,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Okay, so what will happen then is the ordinance will fill that blank in, post it for the next council meeting, and then it'll be available for you to vote on the ordinance at that time with the 3/8 cents. Okay? And you can do that in 2 readings, and that'll give you plenty of time for it to get on the ballot for August.
Now we need to go through the actual reading of the
No,
ordinance.
no. We posted an ordinance with a blank. We have to post the ordinance that's going to be acted on the Friday before the meeting, so now we know what the blank is. We'll post it with the blank filled in, and you can vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Your Honor, it was nice since we had yes and no votes both on the same amendment, or ordinance that they were all, even though they were yes and no, for the goal of Mexico, for the betterment of Mexico, so.
Sure. Appreciate the comments and the input, and we'll take comments at the end of this meeting if there are those of you that would like to comment. Okay, under other business this evening, we have a staff report, advertisement of surplus inventory wheel loader. Bruce?
Yes, Your Honor. If you remember during the budget discussion, we had talked about purchasing a new wheel loader. We had indicated that we would not do that till the second part of the fiscal year if funds become available. What is certainly making this funds become available is we don't have to do the transfer to the Economic Development Fund that we anticipated because we filled the spec building and we are receiving rent. So therefore, it allows us the opportunity to proceed with this purchase. The point being with this is that we want to make sure that we get the best price for the unit that we have as far as a sale. So having that said, I'm going to turn to Roger, and he's going to cover what we're attempting to do here.
Actually, that summarized it very well. I'll be basically repeating that information. But this is a request to sell one specific piece of heavy equipment. The city will be placing out to bid the purchase of a new wheel loader with the option to purchase such equipment outright or trade in for value one 2001 Caterpillar 927 GZ wheel loader at the time of the new equipment purchase. Given the piece of used equipment to be disposed, staff believes it worthwhile to publicize the sale of the equipment through a trade and/or auction service with a set reserve price for purposes of comparing a direct sale to a trade-in value in an effort to receive the most funds for the equipment. We will be presenting to council, possibly the next council meeting, a staff report for a new wheel loader. With that, we will have a trade-in value given to us by the vendor. In discussions, they're going to allow a window of time to guarantee that trade-in value, and we will use that window of time to try to sell the piece of equipment ourselves to hopefully gain additional money in net trade between the new and the old piece of equipment. I've already signed up for a online auction service, and of course we would advertise that in the paper as to where people could find that online auction service. It's called govdeals.com. It's quite commonly used by cities for larger pieces of equipment sales. Columbia would be an example. Staff request authorization to publicize for sale and sell, given an acceptable offer, one 2001 Caterpillar 924 GZ as surplus property in accordance with Section 1042 of the Mexico City Code. And I would be glad to answer any questions.
It's still operational right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
The piece of equipment is approximately 11 years old and has roughly 5,500 hours on it. So like any other piece of equipment, tractors or cars, there's an optimum time to get the optimum value out of it. And we feel in this case that would certainly be the case.
Other questions? If not, I move that we give authorization to publicize for sale and sell, given they receive an acceptable offer.
Second.
Bott,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lush,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Next, we have staff report awarding bid for renovation of second floor City Hall. Bruce?
Yes, Your Honor. Again, as part of the budgeting process, we had planned to do some minor renovations, i.e. we're talking paint and carpet on second floor, similar to some of the things that we've done on this floor. And to cover the details of the bids that we've received, I'm going to turn to Rita Jackson.
The 2011-2012 budget allows $25,000 for Phase 1 of the second floor remodel at City Hall. Phase 1 consists of the prime, prep, and painting of the walls and ceiling in 3 interior offices, the bathroom, and the foyer. The project also includes the replacement of the carpet in 3 offices and the floor tile replacement in the bathroom and foyer. A copy of the floor plan is attached, which outlines the 3 offices and the areas that we're going to remodel. An advertisement for bid was placed in the Mexico Ledger on March 15th and mailed to 7 local contractors. A mandatory pre-bid conference was held on March 20 with 3 painting contractors participating. Bids were received on March 27th from 2 of the bidders, which were Brick City Painting in the amount of $10,338.16 and Brighter Side LLC for $4,800. The painting portion of this project is prevailing wage, which requires that all employees are paid prevailing wage, and all on-site employees have to have completed a 10-hour construction safety training program, which is required under the Missouri State statute. Brighter Side's bid does not meet the requirements. City staff is recommending the bid from Brick City Painting in the amount of $10,338.16. The anticipated construction start date would be Friday the 13th at 5 o'clock, and it would actually run through the weekend to eliminate the interruption of the daily operations of City Hall during that time. Also, the city received a bid on February 28th for the replacement of the carpet in the 3 offices and to replace the Connecto floor covering in the bathroom and foyer. This bid was received from Erdl & Wood in the amount of $6,815.94. This bid was taken so that we could stay consistent with style and color of the carpet established when we remodeled the city manager's office, the city clerk, and the payroll offices. So we only solicited the 1 bid from Erdl. These repairs are necessary for city staff to continue to provide attractive and safe customer service. The total project cost is $16,854.10. Staff recommends that council approve the bid from Brick City Painting and Drywall in the amount of $10,338.16 for the painting, and the bid from Erdl & Wood Home Improvement Center in the amount of $6,815.94 for the floor covering. And there is a great difference in the painting, city staff did spend several hours on the phone with labor standards to make sure that this was a prevailing wage project, and the fact that it's actually done over the weekend, that's what makes the cost higher. And it is very important that they actually get the work completed over the weekend so that it does not interrupt the operations of City Hall.
So Marcy won't have to sit in the hall again. That's good.
That's not my office.
I know. I had to throw that out.
When we did the city manager's office, the city clerk's office, and the payroll offices, was that bid sent out to the general public, or to all, did we get more than one bid on that?
Actually, that project was done in-house by city staff.
So
Our
it was
part-time
done-
building inspector completed those 3 offices.
Well, how did we get the carpet and stuff? I
Oh, the
guess-
carpet was actually Erdl and Woods. That's why we just actually went, that's the only actual company in town that offers floor covering. And
Aren't we required to bid everything? I guess I'm confused here.
it was under the estimated $10,000, is that correct?
Well, $10,000 would require staff report to council. We typically take phone bids in excess of $250, and then we take written quotations up to net $1,000.
So, I guess what Ron's saying is, if we didn't do anything besides contact Erdl and Wood, is that fit our bidding process?
Well, actually, in the past, we have actually tried the company that's in Kingdom City, and they do not deliver or the actual carpet, and we have went there in the past when we actually had done some of the bidding in the public safety department, and it actually, time we did it to the location, it's considerably higher.
Well, I understand that, but I'm saying in our billing code, are we not supposed to bid out more than, I mean, we're not just supposed to call somebody and say, bid this, right? Am I wrong, or I mean, am I?
It depends upon the dollar threshold
Well, I
on
mean, that's-
the time and method that we take to take your bids. Some, to certain dollar amounts, there's no bid required because we spend more time and money getting bids than the project cost. Others, it could be simply phone quotations. Others could be simply either email or mailing of the bids on their letterhead or fax. And then others, when we're starting to deal with $10,000 or more, then you're looking at advertised sealed bids. I think some of the issues that Rita ran into on these projects is when you're carpeting rooms that are 10 by 12 or 15 by 15, and you have someone that's here local that can do it and get it in the time frame that we need to, again, on weekends, versus trying to get someone to do that from out of town, it becomes a nearly impossible task. So based on her past experience of trying to get quotes and working that through, and the size of these past projects, she had to use our typical bid process, to use good judgment to get it done.
I understand that. What I'm saying is that in our policies, it says, I mean, if we have to get bids for stuff that's under $1,000, surely we have to get bids for stuff that's $6,000. And you're saying we didn't because whatever reason. I understand your reasoning behind it, but does it meet the legalities of our billing policy or our bidding policy?
If you go to match existing, if it's like a sole vendor matching existing equipment, then you're allowed to go back to that first vendor that provided the supplies or the services.
Now that was a good answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we go with Brick City Painting for the $10,338.16.
Second.
It's your choice. It's your choice, however you want
Well,
to.
I'll just go ahead and also add the Irwin Woods Home Improvement Center for $6,815.94.
I will-
Total of, where's that here? $16,854.10.
And I will add my second to this new total of $16,854.10.
Fox,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lush,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Next, we have a staff report on the purchase of patrol vehicles, 2 for the Department of Public Safety. Bruce?
Yes, Your Honor. As part of the budget, we had allowed $60,000 for the purchase of 2 patrol vehicles. We have taken the bids, and I'm going to turn it over to Susan Rocket, Chief Rocket, to review the bids that's been received and what is being recommended.
We put out a request for bids. We had only Pearl Motor who answered that call for bids. They answered with a price for a 2012 Caprice, a 2012 Tahoe, a 2011 Caprice, and a 2013 Tahoe. And after we looked at the bids as they came back and what they have available, we are recommending the purchase of the 2011 Caprice for $24,631 due to its being available. The 12s won't be available for a minimum of 9 months. And also the purchase of the 2012 Tahoe for just about the same reason. So those are the 2 cars from Pearl Motor that we are requesting to purchase with a net price of $58,343, subject to dealers' availability to deliver the vehicles in an acceptable length of time and to meet all of our bid specifications.
So the Tahoe's available now.
The Tahoe will be available soon. Right now, the Caprice is the only one that's available on the lot, I believe. Isn't that the way it is?
They're telling us to be They're telling us to be ready, available in 5 to 6 weeks. So it's evident,
Yes.
it's in the process.
Did we poll the other dealers and ask why they didn't bid? Do we know why they didn't bid?
It goes back to our local purchasing policy for one reason. They know that we have a 5% preference for someone supplying those supplies locally. And then secondly, one of the major suppliers to us in years past had been Hawkins Ford. And with us just purchasing 1 or 2 vehicles at a time, we were basically too small for their interest because they're dealing with larger fleets and larger communities. Offenburg did call. We did think that they were going to submit a bid, but they ended up not submitting.
So, with the Tahoe, what is the justification for that? Is that 4-wheel drive?
Yes.
It's 4-wheel drive. I guess, I'm just going to say, we're going to go ask taxpayers for more money. So what is the justification for the Tahoe over the Caprice when I've talked to people and there's never been a call that we haven't been able to answer in the
Except
city
when
of
we had
Mexico?
snow on the ground, we had to use the rescue truck because no other cars would go in that snow.
In the records, no?
Mhm.
And the Tahoe would be able to do that?
Tahoe will be able to do that, and also there's just a lot of not a lot, but there's those times when we need something that can go off-road and that kind of thing. We're not asking to replace the whole fleet, but we do need something that's going to be able to go where we need to go.
Chris, we had a Jeep for a lot of years, and it was a patrol vehicle, 4-wheel drive. It was a Jeep Cherokee?
Cherokee.
Yeah, and we had that specifically for the purpose of some places in the outlying edges of the city that we might not be able to get a patrol vehicle. So there is precedent for it.
Okay.
And we did go along with that, knowing that was the case too.
We felt we at least needed to have 1 in the fleet for those situations. We don't feel that there's a need for more.
How do you plan on using it?
We're basically planning on using it more as a command
Right, for
vehicle. So we're trying to
lieutenants.
keep the miles down on it, and so it won't be a major front line. Well, I guess you still call it a front line, but it'll be a command vehicle, so the
It won't
miles
be a
will not
patrol
build as
officer's
much.
car, right.
sergeant's vehicle is what they're looking at.
Put sergeants and lieutenants wouldn't do it again. All right.
Is there, excuse me, I had one more question.
I'm sorry.
I'm kind of late in getting this here. Isn't there a state bid price? I remember when we...
This is the state contract price.
This is the
Yes.
state contract price. Okay, okay, very good. And one other thing, I think the figure on the back of our sheet, the 58,000 is not correct. Unless I've added them up wrong. but
You wanted the 2011 Caprice and 2012 Tahoe, correct?
I think that should
Me and Ron both
The
got
11 Caprice and the Tahoe.
Me and Ron both got 55,980 with that.
You're right, so do I.
Good.
So that helps with your budget a little bit compared to the 60,000, so.
And we're trading in 2 cars as well, so.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Chief.
I'd like to make a motion, we buy the 2011 Caprice for $24,631 and the 2012 Tahoe for $31,349 for a combined total of $55,980
Second.
from Pearl Motor Company.
Yes.
Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lush,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Next, we have the claims. Are there any questions concerning claims?
I move we pay the bills.
Second.
Botts,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Lush,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Next, we have council comments. Start with Councilman Bott.
I want to thank everyone who voted for me, although not as many voted for me as Ron, so they like him better. But I understand now because he's older, that's the reason. I want to reiterate what Steve said, that the no vote on the tax was just, was not no to a tax. It was just would prefer the quarter-cent, but it's certainly a 3/8 will be a wonderful addition. So, that's all I have.
I'd just like to congratulate the 2 elected people. And I'd also like to show appreciation to the people that are here tonight, because even it means a lot. You know, one of the things I really strived for when I got elected was to get more people involved, and it's great to see more people out here because, you know, most nights there's nobody here but staff. We like you guys, but we like to see new faces too and hear from you guys, and we appreciate that. That's all I got.
Councilman Nichols.
I'd like to congratulate Ron and Dan for their winning, and I appreciate the fact there's no mudslinging in the contest. And bought a new snowboard the 1st of December and never got to try it out. So maybe with the 4-wheel drive Tahoe, maybe there'll be no more snow in Mexico, Missouri. So I've got-
Congratulations to Dan and Ron. Congratulations again on being mayor and mayor pro tem. Stephen? I think that's all I have.
Bruce?
I have nothing else, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, again, thanks to the council for your support, and if you find out that I'm not doing what you need me to do, please tell me. Appreciate that. Thank you to Roger for following up with that request I had the other day from a citizen in the community, so I appreciate that very much. And now we're ready for public comments. Again, if you would like to make a comment, please come to the microphone and state your name and address. And again, we're limiting to 3 minutes. Yeah. Remember that council,
Uh-oh.
ex-councilman Myers?
Uh-oh.
I think I have some banked.
Listen to him.
It's all right. I'm glad to see that there's been a tax put up for the citizens. It hasn't been finalized yet, but that it's being under consideration for the citizens to vote on. Most of you know my strong feeling on the two Ps, public safety and parks. This city would not be what it is without its parks. And I think one thing that we forget as members of council and as citizens, you know, a lot of the things that we are able to take advantage of, these parks, don't even come from our money. They come from people volunteering their work, from fraternal orders volunteering. What if all that dries up tomorrow? What if every bit of it dries up tomorrow? You're going to have citizens, I'm afraid, that are going to be really raising Cain because their parks are not what they were. And the parks can be a hell of a lot better than they were. I'm pleased to see that you're putting this to a vote. I really am. You know, there's a concern with property taxes and whatnot. I think most studies will show that when someone is going to a brand new community, one of the things they look for are parks. It doesn't matter the age. The one thing about our parks, it doesn't matter if you're male, it doesn't matter if you're female, if you're a child, an adult, or a senior citizen. It doesn't discriminate. It's for everybody. It doesn't cost anyone. I see skateboarders, I see fishermen, I see bikers, I see joggers. We need our parks. Again, for the third time, I'm proud that you're bringing this or considering this for a vote. I am extremely disappointed, though, that you had a committee, a citizens committee, and what direction do they give you as far as the tax? Did I hear more than once up there that they recommended a half cent? Or did I hear that incorrectly? My concern is if you've got a citizens committee who is there to recommend to you what the tax should be, the citizens, the people that you represent, then why are you not listening to them as far as going to the amount that they had said for the vote? If you're worried about people being upset with you as council members in the vote, that it's council's fault, it's not. You're just letting the citizens vote on what the committee set up. I'm glad to see that there's going to be a vote. I hope that there's going to be a vote. I'm disappointed that it's not for a half cent. Yes, I know that you're glad that it's 3/8 versus a quarter. I'm disappointed that it's not a half. Again, this was what was recommended to you by the citizens of this city. I think it should be up to you to decide whether you're going to vote on it or not on the amount. You were already recommended by the citizens of what it should be. 2 minutes, 57 seconds.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim Medley, 705 East Monroe Street. And first, like Ron, I'm coming up on 16 years in this community. This is a great community. This is the longest place I've ever lived in my whole life. I was an Army brat, I was in the military, so we moved a lot. So I've lived in Mexico longer than any other place in my whole life, and we love this community. I want to thank you for your service to the community. All of you put in a lot of hours basically running our community, and literally not paid, and we appreciate that. I want to add to what Mike said. The half cent is the way to go. There's a lot of great things about this community that you can't show. You have to live here to know it, but the parks you can show. And if this community is going to grow, it's not going to grow from within. It's going to grow from without. We need to attract new people, new businesses, and the way you're going to do that is with your infrastructure. That's what you can drive around and show people. And we have great parks. Chad and his group has done just a great job with them, and I've seen them get better every year that I've been here. When we added the paved trails at Lakeview and in Green Park, well, what a great thing. I mean, people can run, bike, skateboard, walk, and we need to put the right amount of emphasis on the parks. As Mike said, they're totally non-discriminatory. Anybody can use the parks. And many people do. You see a lot of people out there. It's a great place for our kids. It's a great place for our senior citizens. And, you know, the 0.5% is the way to go. I hope there's some way we can reconsider. I think the people of Mexico love their parks, and I think they're willing to support that. We don't see a lot of waste in this community. And, you know, I'm willing to pay it. I see that as a taxpayer responsibility. I know those parks just don't happen. I know they have to be paid for. And I just don't see the waste in the community that it would bother me to pay an extra 0.5% to have the best parks in this part of Missouri. And I appreciate everything you guys do, and I know you hear all kinds of stuff, and I just want you to know that whatever we do, you know, you guys have my vote and my support, but 0.5%, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments?
I'm Mary Siegfried, 2622 Teal Lake Place in Mexico, and I was on the Citizens Committee that recommended the half-cent sales. Chad and his staff did an excellent job. I don't know how many meetings we came to, 5, 10 meetings. They were lengthy. We had stacks of information that everybody studied, had great participation too, and I feel like we made a very thoughtful, informed recommendation that we do the half-cent sales tax. And so I also would ask that you consider doing a 0.5 cent instead of the 3/8. I know you mentioned that we could go back and we could ask again later, but I think we kind of have one shot at this. And I feel certain, even though there aren't a lot of the committee members here tonight, we have been at other meetings too. And you also have and I've been at other meetings with a lot of my tennis buddies were here, and I know they would support it also. They're all, the committee members, the tennis group, they're very active, informed members of the community, and I think they would help support it. You can get everybody to work. So I would ask that you reconsider half. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to comment?
I'm not going to comment on the parks. I think you've heard that.
We need your name and address.
I'm Dr. Elwood Rice, 11340 Audrey Road, Mexico, Missouri.
Thank you.
Okay. I do want to say I felt like I was at a school board meeting a while ago. There was a lot of good discussion, split vote. I just thought it was great. It's very healthy. I just want to make a couple of comments about the FQHCs. I briefly talked to Terry. I didn't even know it was coming to Mexico until I read it in the paper a couple of weeks ago, and I talked to a few people about it. But because of the position I hold on the state with the Dental Association, it's a really hot topic throughout the state. These things are, they're good if they work. If they don't work, they can really destroy practices. I know of 3 practices down below Fort Leonard Wood that have absolutely closed because of them. The problem is that the federal government comes in and they pay for the entire building, supplies, everything. The physicians, everybody that works there has no overhead. So they're basically setting up competition against the local doctors, dentists, whoever's in there. And what ends up happening is that they can actually have a sliding scale, so anybody can come in. They try to earmark people with 200% poverty level or below, but they can't hold it at that. So anybody can walk in off the street and get a sliding scale. And so they can actually see fee-for-service patients out of any other dental office or medical office and see those patients and do it at a reduced fee and actually be destroying practices that are already established. And that's what's happened throughout the state. So it's something I think is very important for anybody who's going to get involved in this to understand. I'm more than willing to work with him. You can get into these things where you can actually subcontract. You can actually subcontract out to the dentists, the physicians, and let them actually be your providers. And I think that's kind of a fair way to do it. But you bring somebody in from the outside and they start undercutting everybody, it's really not fair, because dentists have a 70% overhead, so for every dollar that comes in the front door, 70 cents of it goes back into the practice. FQHCs don't have that. They're getting all this money from the federal government plus what they collect on this sliding scale, and they make a ton of money. But in the meantime, they can be hurting already established businesses. So I just wanted to bring that up, but I'm going to do whatever I can with Terry to work with him and see if we can't come up with some kind of a compromise where if this does come here, we can do it where it's in the best interest of everybody that's involved. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Sherry Medley, 705 East Monroe Street. I'm sorry you have to have two Medleys here tonight talk, but I'm going to be very brief. I also served on the Citizens Task Force. It was an honor to do that. It's one of the good things about our community that you can get 20 to 25 people who've worked hard all day and to come out and meet for another hour and a half, 90 minutes at least every time. So that was a great experience, and I really think we looked hard at our parks and what they needed. My only thought that I think I can add that's a little bit different, the people that are going to vote no for that sales tax will vote no no matter what it sits at, 3/8, 1/2. The people that are going to vote yes will vote yes also no matter what. But if we work hard as the task force members, as city council, as the park staff, we can really educate our community why that half-cent sales tax really improves our community. It really improves Parks and Rec. Otherwise, you're just treading water. We still aren't making any progress on our beautiful parks, and they have to be taken care of, or we have to get rid of them. I hope you'll consider that it'll be easier for some of us to sell that we're really going to improve the tennis courts, we're really going to make improvements on some of these things in our parks. Otherwise, we did all that work, I think, for nothing. So I appreciate you being up here and thinking about it, and if there's a chance for more discussion, I would like to see it happen, and perhaps just realize that people are going to vote no or going to vote no. But we have a chance to make a difference, and somebody's got to be number one. So let's think about it and think a little bit bigger than we have been. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no more comments, I move we adjourn into executive session pursuant to 610.020 of the revised statute of Missouri pertaining to potential litigation.
Second.
Scott?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Rush?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.